Hello, welcome back to I Create For You, and it is Whatever Wednesday, take 2. Yeah, I've already had the first one go out, and since I was already um, showing you one of my creations, this beaded hat, I think it took me 2 or 3 days to do this one, because I had to really this is the one I learned on. I taught myself. Of course, I watched a few videos and figured out a way for me to do it that was easier for me and helped me uh, achieve what I wanted to achieve. It takes a lot of practice because when you're doing these, you're working off a pattern and you're trying to keep them even all the way around, and you don't want them loose. You want them tight up against each other. And you're following a pattern, so you really have to pay attention to what you're working on and where you're at in the pattern. And it carries over on the other side, as you can see. And I start in the middle and work out and then go out this way also. So I thought I'd show you what my setup looks like. I know it doesn't really have anything to do with sketching, but I thought it might be a little bit interesting, and you get to realize, that a lot does go into making these things. I am part Navajo. Not sure which part, but I'm part Navajo, so I just was drawn to beading. I'm sure there are a lot of people who aren't native that are drawn to it also. Some of my supplies are 3mm beads, which I have on this jewelry tray, and beading needles, thread, which I have here, and I don't have another one out here, so I don't know where it got to. I had it set into the side because I have to get other stuff done. I started this one project and I had to move on to what I needed to get done for orders. I also have a candle because if you wax your thread, it's a lot easier for beading and putting it in it going through the hat. The threads that I have is if you look at this, you can see how it frays really easily. So when you do it on the candle, I don't know if this little bit will do it, but if you do it on the candle, it pulls it all together. If that makes sense. It puts a little wax coat on it, and if you can see it now, it's not, there's still some stragglers over here because I can't catch them all on this little piece, but it'll help you when you're trying to thread your needle. Especially, you just run it over this wax and it puts a coating on it so that the fibers stay together better and you can thread your needle. So that's a trick. How I even start is I collect patterns, and I have some patterns in this book that I've been, let's see if I'm in the right, oh, it's this way, I guess. Yes. So I look up online, I look up patterns, and like on Pinterest and stuff, and here's one. These can be done on a bead loom, and I'm going to be delving into these next, the hat bands, because they're long. These will be done on the bead loom. These are very long. See, they're 20 to 21 inches long. So that's a very big piece, because if you're thinking about it, I have a little ruler here. This is only 12 inches. So you could say almost another one of these. Almost. Like that much more. So it's a very long one. I've not ever done those. I've done bracelets and I've done barrettes for your hair. But I've never done the hat bands. And the reason why I want to do the hat bands is to incorporate them in my hat burning. So, and have them available that way people can pick out which ones they like. I really like this pattern here. Now what they do is with patterns is you're counting acrosswise how many you have, how many lines there are. Each one of these beads on this paper is, each one of those little squares is a bead. And you count across here on your width and you add one. And one day I'll show you how I do it on the loom. That is really easy for me. I whiz through those like nothing. These are so easy to do. They're fun for me to do while watching TV. I love doing those. I haven't really sat down and done them in a while, and I should. And so I have my own book. This is a Halloween one where you can make a skeleton. And then what I do is I print them out. And then this one I haven't done. Here's an idea. And then I redo it on here because it's bigger. And I can see the pattern better. If I have to sit here and count these little guys and figure out, I couldn't do it. So this is what I do, is there went half of my beads. This is for a barrette, for a hair barrette. But I put these all in a book, patterns that I like and the color schemes, and you can change them. Not the patterns, but the colors. Instead of brown, I could put maybe, since this is an odd color, maybe I want to put orange there instead. Just, you can switch out colors. This is a very vibrant one. Yeah, so this is how I do this is what it's going to look like when it's done. And this is the pattern as you do it. So yeah. And I tried to do it as easy as I could, so it was easier for me to follow. This one's going to be a wolf one. This one's a pretty one. This is a good one for a hat band, because half of this will be up underneath and half will be on the top, and then you have that pattern going along the edge. So that's a pretty cool one to do. That's one I should have picked for the wolf, but I like the one I did for the wolf. But there's so many pretty patterns available. And it's not as hard as you think it is. Time consuming. And you have to have a little bit of patience. So, yeah, it does require some patience. And like I said before, you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here, let me get you down there. Here I have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I would add another string on a loom, because you have to have an extra string. Just one more of whatever the pattern is, and that'll help you make the pattern. So look at, if you want to see this one here, is a good example. Same pattern, but different color schemes. But yeah, I have a whole book here of, well, I can't wait to do that one time. Patterns. And I have these all to redo. But yeah, these are all patterns for not hat patterns, just for loom. But some of them are bracelet patterns, and I'm just using them for the hat. You just add on to the ends and stuff. Now this hat I have that I bought, that was pretty cool because it said native on it. You're gonna laugh, but I actually got this at a thrift shop. I found this hat. Hats aren't cheap. The very first hat that I bought, I did another beaded hat, but it was different. And I got it in Wyoming. And it had a native pattern here on the front. And the way I did that hat was I beaded down the seam here to the design and down, and I did a beading around here, and I think I did to the sides too here. I had like 3 on the top, a row of the colors that matched the design, that the native design that was on it, and then I did a row around here, and that one sold pretty quickly because it wasn't really busy and it was just simple, and it didn't take me as long to do. It was a really good pattern. It was something I made up with the top of my head, and I decided that there was enough nativeness in that hat that it was awesome the way it looked. And that one sold right away right after I made it, actually. But I screwed this up, so I'm going to redo it. But just so you get the gist of how a beaded brim, hat brim is done, is here's my pattern. And this is the center. So you have to find your very center, and you count that out. Well, not count that out. How can I put it? When I first do it, oh, this is going to be a tough one to explain to you, but this is how I learned myself. No pattern is perfect for your hat brim. You have to do a little bit of math, and you have to do a little bit of eyeballing it and seeing what works. This pattern has so many squares going along it here. So I did this pattern, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I don't know that it'll fit, but we'll see, because you have to be able to go from this line right here, this line right here of sewing, and then you're going to turn it around, and it has to go right back to that line. See that line right there? And when you're pulling it tight, now I must have lost some of my needles, my beads here somewhere along the line here. Yep, I did. I was right. I was thinking, wow, this isn't right because there's not enough beads on here. Okay. This is why it takes so long to do these. When you're stringing up your beads, you follow your pattern, okay? So once you follow your pattern, you're going to string up your beads the same formation, the same order as what's on your pattern sheet here. I hope I'm making sense. You're going to put a red bead, a gray bead, a red bead, a black bead, a black bead, a white bead, and that's how you're going to line them up onto your thread. Once you get them there, you have to make sure that once you do that and you're bringing it around, that everything's lining up and it's tight. And you have to constantly make sure it's tight so the other ones don't move. So you're constantly holding it tight and wrapping it around to make sure your pattern is moving on this side. If you can see, there's a pattern starting right there. And then you turn it over and there's a pattern on this side starting right there. You can see them. But that's how you do it. And then what you do is, I have a tool. So once I have this going around like this, I will take this tool, just special beading tool, will help you get a hole, and you have to push this through here, right next to where you have your beads laying. Oh, this is hard when I have to explain it. Once you have that laid up there, you're going to put a hole right here that it comes through at the top. I usually do it the opposite way. I usually do it this way. I usually make my hole right here, as close to where you were. Here, it's hard because my tripod's not working. Right here, you put a, right here is where I would go. Right smack dab against. Like I said, I had to redo this. I'm not really up against the line that I'm going to follow. You follow this line all the way around. And when I told you that you make a hole, you're going to come up through, pull it, and then you're going to put your beads on your string again and go through the whole process. Make a hole right next to those beads, and then you're going to push it through, pull it through, and string your beads again. Always following your pattern. The problem is, from here to here, there's so many number of beads. Then you have to be able to wrap it around like these are and have so many beads from here to here. So you're going to have to, with that very first string of beads, work your pattern so that your count goes from one seam on this side to the seam on the other side. And you may be lucky and have enough number of beads. I'll tell you a little secret what I do, if it makes any sense. What I do is I'll take, when I have a brim, because not all brims and the seams are going to be the same width. In fact, this one's pretty good all the way around, but my wolf one, when you come around here, it was narrow, so I had to rework the count of beads, but still be able to keep that pattern going, so that when you look at it, you can see the pattern continues. See that? How that star continues? So it is a lot of time, a lot of patience, and what I do is, my very first time that I am doing this, I will count. I will take beads. It doesn't matter what color they are. I will make my hole here and my hole so I can string it through, and I will add beads until I can know how many beads it takes from this end to underneath, and then I look for a pattern with the same number, so that, give or take one or two, I can either add one or take one off to make it fit. And that's the easiest way I know how to do it, and it's worked so far, and I will be able to do that, work that over. But that is the basics of beading a brim. You start with a pattern. You get your beads. I have 3mm beads. I have them out on the tray already. I have, let me zoom you out so you can see it better. I have the 4 colors that I need: the black, the white, the silver, and the red for this hat. And then figure out how many beads you need. You go from one seam to the other. Then get into the pattern into the routine of going up, through, down, holding tight, bead it, up, down, and keep doing that till you get all the way around. When you're doing your pattern this way, you may have to add a little bit more onto the edge, but you always start the center of your whole pattern, the center line, which is this one, goes right there. And then this wraps around, and this wraps around. And if you need to add a little more, repeat where you left off. You see how that looks like that? So you look for that in your pattern over here. And I see it right here. There's some kind. And then you can just extend it so you have this diamond made. So you can just redo the diamond, and then you'll be good, because look, put it together, you've got the diamond right there, and you just add on to the end. you'll just add whatever beads you need and lines onto the end until you get to the very end. And that's how you do it. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience. Got to be able to figure out your bead lines, how many you need. And I hope this makes sense. And just to show that it's not something that is really quick to do. It isn't really quick to do. I don't want to put any more holes in the hat, or I continue and show you exactly how I string my beads and everything. I shouldn't have strung this one, but this one was already strung when I brought it out. And then I realized, you know what, I'm not up against that line. I got to redo. So, but that is the gist of beading a brim on a hat. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them. I'm not a pro at this, but I enjoy it because it's part of my heritage, and I'm also part Filipino and part German. My Filipino heritage, I've learned recipes, and so I continue recipes. I've taught my daughter some of the recipes my mom taught me, and we actually cook some Filipino recipes, some dishes like sweet rice, and at Thanksgiving we take yams or sweet potatoes, cut them up, we cut them up, put them in the pot, boil them till they're soft, get rid of some of that water, not all of it, and you add butter and brown sugar, and you mix it all in, and that's our sweet potatoes for Thanksgiving. So I don't normally celebrate Thanksgiving as a holiday, but since we get together, we do a little bit of some of our foods, because it was not a kind holiday to the natives. So I do not wholeheartedly celebrate Thanksgiving with in the sense of the pilgrims and such. I just celebrate the thankfulness we have for what we have, who we have in our lives, what we have, and such. But that's how that gets celebrated. And that's it for today. And I hope you like this little bit of a lesson. I mean, if you'd like to know some more, or like to see some other stuff, I already did the wood hat burning one time. If there's anything else that you have questions about or whatever, just let me know and I'll tell you. Like I can show you, maybe I don't have any more that I know of, like how I paint on a tile, things like that, how I started, what I think about, the process, and how it comes to be something that I make to sell. Or sometimes I even give it away because I just like the idea of my art getting out there. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll get back to doing the ghost stories and sketches on Friday, and maybe I'll spoof another video in somewhere on the weekend. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Maybe I'll have an update. Maybe I'll be able to have time to work on this more to get this done. I have a ton of hats that I have to work on. Every time I go out, I see a hat, I'm like, oh, there's another hat. And just to show you real quick, I'll show you a hat that I got again. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this one, but it is a native design hat that I got at a thrift shop. Now this is gonna blow your mind, but I got this at a thrift shop, and I was just thinking of doing white, black, not even really doing a pattern, or maybe trying to do this pattern along the brim. But this is another one where I probably would go white here, white here, white here, and white along here just to accent the owl because it's so busy. I got this at a thrift shop. It was $5.99 and 75% off. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. There's no, it was like brand new. It's like a silky feel. So that's pretty awesome. Every time I get a find like that, I get all excited. And the same way with this one. I was surprised when I got this one. I was all excited. So anyway, that's what I have. And like I said, thank you again. And I shall see you guys in the next video, Friday. But before you go, please give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't. And comment if you have any questions or concerns about what I'm doing on a whatever Wednesday. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Thank you.